Hello again, my fellow Nephilim or heroes of sanctuary or whatever you want to call yourself. Today, I want to talk about the 5 classes that were given to us in the beta of Diablo IV, which I've enjoyed a great deal. I've played with every single class. I've reached level 25 with 3 out of the 5 classes because of a lack of time, but I got an idea of what each class is all about and what the game holds. So I want to share with you my perspective on what it is that you should expect and why is it that the game is put together the way it is. What I've seen online quite a bit is that people are complaining about certain classes, saying that they're not very good, and what that perspective lacks is a long-term plan for Diablo IV and what it holds. Specifically, I've seen a lot of flack given to barbarians and druids, saying that they suck. And to counter that, I would like to bring into your attention the following, right? We have spirit boons for druid as an example, right? For a barbarian, we have weapon masteries that are unlocked after a long-term play, which will boost various aspects of the character. And the same thing happens with the druid. We have spirit boons and we don't really know the bonuses. Fundamentally, every single reviewer that I've seen, like Kriparian or Asmongold, who reacts to other reviewers, that being said, they're both good players, and a lot of the community members, they're considered giants and all that. I'm not trying to bash them. What I'm saying is that none of us, not that I know of at least, got a chance to play the end game. Some might, but they're under a non-disclosure agreement. That being said, the classes of Diablo IV have different purposes. And out of the 5 character classes that we have, there's a sorcerer, and barbarian, and rogue, and druid, and necromancer. They're not going to be equally good at everything. This is not what you call balance. It's not about, I want every single class to be about the same in terms of power for every aspect of the game. That is not what balance is about. Balancing in the game means you have a specialist for each area in the game that you wish to excel at. And Diablo IV, while it can be beaten solo with every single class, every single character, Diablo IV is focused around group play. And what this fundamentally means is that picking a party composition is designed to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to play, and why you're picking this specific composition. So for Diablo IV, let me go over what I think and assume the purpose of each character class is. Druid is going to be really good at crowd control, at immobilizing, exposing vulnerabilities, stunning. That's going to be, and positioning the enemies, right? That's going to be one of the core excel traits of the druid. Possibly with some tweaking, you might be able to perform massive area of effect not in the sense that everything on the screen dies, but that if there's a huge crowd of enemies, you would be able to, with your ultimate make some sort of a large amount of damage. Or if somebody comes up to you very closely, you'll be able to wreck them, because that's what the abilities seem to be about. If somebody comes close to the druid, he either entangles them with Kyrian vines or turns on a hurricane, something like that. Basically, it's all about, don't come near me, I'm gonna stun you, I'm gonna disable you, right? For a barbarian is going to be all about buffing the party members and helping the party members survive more, or help them engage in, let's say if there is a group of 2 or 3 elites, the barbarian is going to buff the stats for several seconds, and then the rest of the characters roll in and start bursting the enemies. That's going to be the barbarian's role. As far as the necromancer is a tank build, because there are minions that necromancer can summon, the golems and the golem and the skeletons, right? While necro is good at area of effect with corpse explosion, which is one of the favorite skills of many players, the fact that you have other minions that you can control, so many of them, tanking and distracting the opponents is going to be the main purpose of the necromancer. And some of the skills that now do a lot of damage, they might be doing a little bit less, right? I'm not saying that you won't be able to make a necromancer that is not using skeletons, because you absolutely can have a passive on a necromancer that says, hey, I don't want to play with minions, I want to play with my spells. And on that front, necromancer can also be really good, dashing out a sizable amount of DPS, being similar to sorcerer. As far as single target damage, I think rogue is currently the best class in the game for single target. Rogue has a lot of good area of effect synergies in the skills, but if you want to be the kind of character that hunts for elites and kills elites and bosses, then rogue is going to be your class of choice. When it comes down to a well-rounded character that is very mobile and does a lot of damage, just sheer damage, that's going to be your sorcerer, because of the way the skills are already designed. The game is not going to be built from the ground up, and the skills will not be redesigned in 2 months, right? At this point in time, what happened is Blizzard released the game into the early access to test the server loads, and now the open beta, to see how many people wish to play, even though people that didn't buy the game, but those that might want to be interested, what's going to be the server load, and then they're going to adjust it based on statistics to figure out how much hardware they need to dedicate, in order to handle the launch, because it's going to be a glorious kind of time. Basically, I'm saying that you shouldn't worry about which class to pick, because every single character can beat the game and can beat the story. We haven't even seen in the beta majority of the content. We have not seen all of the skills. We haven't tinkered with the items and how we could focus on, our survivability or our damage or the mobility. We don't know exactly what kind of uniques we have. We don't know exactly what kind of legendaries are going to be spawning, because the items in Diablo 4 is what makes the build for your character often enough. And if you want to enjoy the game, the first thing you should do is drop the worry about making a mistake when you pick a character. I'd say pick a class, whichever fantasy you want, and beat the story. And as you're progressing through the story, I recommend that you save up the rares for your class and for other classes to explore the game fully later. For example, if we look at a druid cannot use daggers, but rogues, sorcerers, necromancers can use daggers. The same is for wands, right? Druids cannot. I think druids can use wands, but necromancers can. Barbarians cannot. Druids cannot use two-handed swords, but barbarians can. And finding a solid rare weapon is the key to feeling very powerful. What makes your character powerful at the very start, when you're just playing through the story, leveling your character, it's the rares, right? It's the rare weapons and the gear which you can just pick up by playing the game. And if you start another class, you can absolutely use the gear you found in order to boost up your power level. I hope that this little guide that I've done, up to here in this video, is going to help you alleviate your concerns that you might have about, what to pick and what not to pick. You're gonna have fun, I think, either way. And if you have friends or want to make friends, and just invite somebody in your party and say, hey, do you want to play together and beat the story? And people will say yeah, then you move forward with that. The content of the game is massive. We have fractured peaks to explore in a beta, and people have played for more than 20 hours, in this area with each class to just see what it's like. They say there are going to be a total of 5 regions to explore. This is at the very least 100 hours worth of content that you can do with just one class, and then you can multiply that based on which other fantasy you want to experience, right? It's going to be really good. It already is really good. I also want to remind people, or maybe bring into your awareness, what happened with Diablo 3 when it came out. When Diablo 3 first came out, we did not have very powerful sets or super powerful items that were build defining. What should be kept in mind is the fact that Blizzard has a long-term multi-year plan for development of Diablo 4. If you look at Diablo 3, it took them more than 10 years after launch to bring the game to where it is today. And if they keep Diablo 3, like if they take the content from the season 28, which is the current season, and bring it into off-season, the Altar of Rites, I think that's gonna complete the game and make it very, very solid product, appealing to the wide audience, and patch a lot of the holes that existed in it. In terms of Diablo 4, we are not going to have a larger amount of power creep. We absolutely will not. We're going to have characters that the players want to improve and want them to have more. And Blizzard developers intentionally left holes in the development of every class and character that we will want to have, whether it's early game or late game, so that they can continue making product, making expansions, and giving the player base more enjoyment. Because if we get everything possible right away, then there is not going to be a sense of enjoyment when the company, when Blizzard releases something else, something more. They give us a relatively low power level, and then they're going to increment it with time. And then they're going to give us the grind loop and the game loop, right? Which I think they already have some of that in place, late game, but they need to have room for improvement. Otherwise, Diablo 4, it might last, 2 years, 3 years, but it should be a game that lasts for at least a decade. Which is why it is absolutely fine to have underpowered characters. And when people post videos with faces like this in their, thumbnail, when somebody looks at you from YouTube with a face like that, or a face like this, it's a hyperbole. They do it because they want attention, and they don't necessarily look ahead, right? Really, if you take a peek at what has been the model of game development for Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, a similar model is going to be used for Diablo 4. And I think, based on what we got in the beta, the game is solid, and there's a lot of good things in the making. I will definitely beat the entirety of Diablo 4 when it comes to the story. I will unlock all the Lilith altars and try to, get the achievements for... Not the achievements, but like all the collectibles. Because it's fun to explore this world. And yeah, it's going to be a little repetitive, but this is a game. This is not a job. So, in terms of enjoyment that it gives already, it's well done. I think if I am to rate Diablo 4, it's about a 3 to 3.5 out of 5. It's above average. Rating somebody something, a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5 without even seeing the whole game is stupid and wrong. But overall, I think this game has a lot of potential. We can get improvement, which will make us happy, right? When we get a tweak to the game that gives us more of what we want, and we need to still see the Paragon system and what it does. So overall, I think Diablo 4 is worth getting, and the beta went well. I hope that this little rant of mine is going to give you a nudge in the direction of, getting into the ranks and playing together with everybody in the community in the Sanctuary. I think it's going to be great. Well, let's not go ahead of ourselves. Maybe not great, but it's going to be solid. Because it already is solid, right? And I am excited to see the end game and what kind of dungeons were designed for that, and other tiers of items and other tiers of difficulty and what they unlock, and the challenges that the game will throw at us as we continue leveling up. It's really fun, and I want to thank my community for helping me out with getting the game. And I'm looking forward to making more content for Diablo 4. It's going to be fun times for years to come. I think at least a year or two, I'm gonna be doing some Diablo 4, because I want to play with every single character and every single class and make a solid build. So, yeah. Good luck, everybody. Have fun. And I will see you on June 6th or a couple of days before that, because I've taken a week off of work. I already scheduled it, and I'm looking forward to playing it. It's going to be good. take care and have fun.